Hi, this is Donesha with the Party Girl. I'm sitting here with Mel from the Pink Report. We're about to get into some hot topics, so make sure you tune in.
So you're like the number one party event planner in Minneapolis, right? Turned like celebrity. You're like celebrity event planner. And so like how did that even start? How did the party planning, event planning start for you?
Well, I haven't reached celebrity status as of yet, but I'm on my way. So I have had a healthcare background for majority of my work history days. But I noticed that all my jobs kind of ended the same way. I either got tired of kind of going every day, or it just something became problematic at the job for me to where wouldn't want to be there. I would like hate waking up, getting there in the mornings. So I was actually sitting at work one day, like, what could I do that I could enjoy doing, on a day-to-day basis that's not repetitive, so it's not the same thing day in and day out, because that kind of got a little boring for me. And naturally, I had always been the one, kind of the go-to one for like my family and friends for like planning events and little things just for us. So I'm like, I'm just going to be a party planner. And then from that thought, I kind of went full speed ahead. So I left my job in 2016, just quit out the blue one day. And then I kind of have just jumped in full force and been going ever since.
So did you like walk off? Like did you go to work that day and then you
Yep.
just walked off, or was it a call in?
No, I was there. I actually registered my LLC and all that from work.
While you were at work?
Yep, while I was at work, I registered my business. I did my EIN. I got everything kind of situated. And then that day I was like, yeah, I'm not coming back in the morning. And I didn't go back.
That's pretty great.
It was courageous. There was times though along this journey that I was like, why did I give up like a steady paycheck every 2 weeks? Why did I do this? But there was those moments when I was like, oh my goodness, I don't know if I should go back to work or what, but I was able to tough it out and just here I am.
I think that tests the tenacity in an individual, right? I think it determines how much grit you have,
right,
and how bad you want it. And I
right.
think if you quit your job back in 2016 and it's 2020, honey, then I think that you've proven yourself to, to be super successful. And I think that a lot of people can learn from you.
Thank you.
So you say that you're not this celebrity event planner, honey. We beg to differ. Okay.
Okay.
So, because we know that you did the floral for George Floyd. So, what was that like? Did you and who called you? And so, tell us about that.
When the situation happened, I actually started seeing like video clips and stuff that day. But I didn't really watch the full video, just the little clips that I did hear. It was like he was calling out for his mom and he was just saying how he couldn't breathe. So before it even became like a national, thing, before the world knew about it, I kind of had just put it out there like, I want to just donate flower, arrangements for the service because I'm a mom of 3 boys. So just seeing that, and it's like unconsciously you think like it could be your son's at the end of the day. Like at any point, this could be my child. So it just felt right in my heart to do. And I had got contacted by a cousin of him in Texas who started coordinating all the information and stuff with me. So it kind of just went full force from there. I really didn't hear anybody. I didn't hear from anybody afterwards. They just gave me the details, and then I just showed up with what I showed up with. So.
What was that like for you to even just be? Because I know that you said you have 3 boys, and it could have been them. I have a son too, so it could have been my son or anyone else's. But what was that like for you to be a part of something like that? And did you include your boys in that process also?
I informed them of what was going on, as far as like, and I had been out there a few days for like some of the protests and things that were going on during the week or the days after, but I didn't include them in that. But I kind of, made them aware of what the situation was. Every time something like that kind of happens, I kind of go back into the same conversation that I have with them of who they are as young black men in this world, and adversities that they may be faced with when they go outside in the world. So that's always a conversation that we revisit when, tragedy like this happens. As far as how I felt, in designing, I actually cried doing the casket spray because it just, I don't know, I was just, flowing, and then I just got so sad. Like, I just finally felt the grief of it all, because just, that is somebody's son. And then it's like we've seen this happen in our culture and in our community like over and over and over and over again. And then it's just like enough is enough. So I think kind of all that caught up with me while I was actually in the process. Like, okay, I'm really designing this man's funeral. Now it has all this national attention. And then so it was crazy.
So how, cause, even around the time of George Floyd, we were really trying to get comfortable with COVID, right?
Mm-hmm.
How has that changed your business now? Like, even, you being a part of something so huge that made, national news. How have you changed your business practices so that it benefits more the community? And like, what are you doing different?
As far as COVID?
George Floyd and COVID.
That's a good question. The only thing that really resonates as far as differences after the George Floyd incident is I'm a little more open-hearted to specific situations that people are going through, because there's been so many losses of employment and things like that have happened with COVID. As far as like even on the event side, a lot of my events have been postponed or canceled and things like that. So this is a time where you really kind of just have to, lead with your heart versus kind of put the business stuff aside, because it's tough for everybody. Like it's been tough for me during COVID, so I'm understanding to my clients that things are different right now. So I'm a little bit more flexible than I once was, because coming in I was just super gullible, and I kind of got burned a couple times. So I kind of thickened up, my skin, and I was really firm with things. But now I feel myself kind of softening back up because just of the status that the world is in right now.
Yeah. Have you, with planning events and, being the party girl, have you ever planned an event that no one showed up at?
I have not had that happen. No, I haven't. And I wouldn't even, I think I would feel so bad for, you mean like as far as a client event, or has the party girl hosted?
Yeah, both.
I haven't had an event that I've like put together and nobody came. I have not had that happen, and I honestly would be shocked. I wouldn't know how to deal with that from my client. I think I would feel so bad because, it's really not cheap to throw these parties. So just to know how much goes into it, and then for nobody to show up, that would be tragic.
Yes, I mean,
that would be tragic.
I'm glad that that's not an issue for you.
Actually, I did have. Not that nobody showed up, but I had a wedding that I did. It was originally set for 175 guests, and I think of that 35 people showed up at the most. So in that situation, I kind of just had to, aid to however the bride was feeling in the moment, because it was understandable, especially, you pay for over 140 something people that don't show. So that's the closest situation that I've had to people not actually showing all together.
And then it's a wedding.
Yes, a wedding.
I think, that's like double tragic, right?
Yes.
Honey. Okay, so what's next for you? I think I saw you on social media, like you're kind of seeking out positions in Atlanta.
Yes.
What is that all about? Are you leaving Minneapolis?
I am looking to relocate. I feel like it's time for me to kind of spread my wings, and Georgia kind of has that, the audience that I'm looking for is kind of like Black Hollywood down there as far as the celebrities go. So I feel like in order for me to become that celebrity planner. I have to kind of put myself in that environment, and I just have to go for it. So it's a scary transition because it's like I've built a name here, I've built my brand up here, so it's like when I get down to Atlanta, nobody's gonna know me, and they're doing events at such a large like capacity down there already. So I know I'm going to have to like fight coming in, but I'm excited for it. I'm excited for change. I'm excited to get down there and network with new people. So it's just another leap of faith that I'm just going to take, like quitting my job and going into business.
You're so I feel like you're so fearless, and I can't anybody just
really
move. Seriously, I feel like that's not something that anybody can just do.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're a different kind of woman when if quitting your job, and then just starting your business. That's a different kind of mentality setup, and then having to fight your way through this scarce of a market in Atlanta. Even that's even like you're just a different kind of woman. And
Thank
I think
you.
it sets you apart from different entrepreneurs, and I think that's amazing.
Thank you.
I saw you were also doing something online where you were almost doing like this raffle. Like you were doing raffles, and I'm not exactly sure what it was for. I thought maybe it was for like maybe doing like slashing your prices in half, but I think you were doing some kind of drawing.
The last raffle that I had, it really was just like for the people who constantly share like my business posts and things like that. There was one specific post that I posted, and to everybody that shared that, I just raffled for them to receive like a free floral arrangement from me, just as appreciation, because it's really things like word of mouth is like the biggest way to support a business if you're not actually like buying a service or things like that, because you never know who that may need my service, or you never know who they know that may need it. So I always appreciate the people who I see like constantly supporting or constantly sharing things like that. So if there's ever little ways that I can try to pay forward some of that, I'm always looking to do that.
Who's your biggest motivator?
I have quite a bit. My children first and foremost. And on the business aspect, there's so many like great women that I follow. Even the biggest supporters for me and the biggest mentors for me in my business journey have all been women who are thousands of miles away from me. There's this event planners network, online that I'm in. And those women have been like my greatest mentors from beginning. They were the ones that told me I needed to up my price and, how to pay myself and how to pay taxes and things like that. But as far as on a personal level, like my children are my biggest motivation because they deserve, whatever. So as long as I'm here, I'm going to make it my business to make sure that they're okay, that their kids are okay, that their kids' kids is okay. So I want to create some sort of generational, wealth for my family. Yep.
I love that. I think you're on the same path as the entire culture.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the culture is a shift, right? Where the paradigm is kind of wealth, right? Focused. But let's dive a little deeper into, your personal life a little bit so that we can kind of get to know you. So you have 3 children. Are you married?
No, single.
You're single.
Yes.
So then are you dating now? Like what is that? How are you able to date and balance that with
dating? It's hard because I just said like jokingly, like whoever I get with has just have to accept that you're gonna be my assistant at the like you have to be willing to help me move these chairs, book these appointments, keep up with my calendar. So it's really kind of on the back burner for me as far as dating, because my mind is so set on trying to transition and get to Atlanta. I kind of feel like I don't want any distractions right now. So yeah, I'm kind of like leaving that to when it comes, but I'm not looking or pursuing or anything like that. I kind of have my mind set on something else right now.
I like that energy.
Thank you.
So, when the time comes, let's say the guy proposed, are you planning your own wedding?
No.
No.
I don't even like to do my own kids' birthday parties. Because you really lose sight of enjoying the day. That's what I try to stress to my clients. Like, yes, you probably can do it yourself, but you're going to spend time getting kids ready, cooking, doing decorations. By the time the party comes, you're wore out or you have an attitude. You don't feel like being bothered.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the key point of having an event planner or a wedding planner, is because you get to give all that to somebody else and really just be in the moment. Be with your kids, create those memories. You really just get to enjoy what the day is about. But me personally, I don't like to do my kids' parties, because it's like I like to just be present with them. So I'll be hiring a wedding planner for sure when it's my turn.
I love it. So like, even when you go to Atlanta, what do you like? What's the goal? Like, I know you want to, do the events there, because they do, like, theirs are on like such a different level. So extravagant.
Yes.
What do you want people in Atlanta to know about the party girl that's coming?
One, I'm a firecracker, so I'm gonna come in trails blazing. But I've had the same kind of mission here. Is I just want to make people happy through an expressive way. For me, I've never really been. And it's crazy that I'm in this industry, because I feel like I was never really artistic and things like that. So to see how these events come together and to see their reactions, and then how their families and their friends enjoy just like the atmosphere of what's going on, that kind of is like the main reason as to why I want to do it. So as far as what I want Atlanta to know, I'm not really sure yet. That's a good question. I'll come back to that one.
Okay, that's okay. So, let's go back to the personal side. What's your sign?
Aquarius.
Okay. So, I don't follow anything zodiac. Okay?
No.
That's for the people, okay?
Okay.
So, I asked another person that came here, what is your toxic trait?
I'm an overthinker.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's probably my most thing. And I am my own worst critic. So if I think something and you don't tell me that A and B equals C, I'm going to think that A plus E equals Z. Then you took this away. Like, I need to know exactly what is what. Yes, or else I'm going to create my own story of, whatever the situation is. So that's something that I want to work on too, because it's like, you're not always right. Like, that story that you come up with isn't always right. So that overthinking is the most toxic thing for me.
Which can be draining too,
it is.
Right? I think I've learned to actually go, these are not my thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
These are not mine. And they will go.
Yeah.
Like, they'll go, and I'll come into myself and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm fine.
Yes.
Where it's not as stressful, So, what else is going on with you?
Besides, I was shut down for a while. Like, COVID really kind of put everything to a complete stop. So around April, May, June, I really had to kind of like pivot my business focus. So I started to do the floral design. So that all was, a new skill learned and a new service offered, just to kind of bridge the gap between the income that was missing from not being able to do events, because literally all my events were canceled. I couldn't open my venue, so I just had to figure out a pivot, and actually that has taken me quite far. Now I'm working on contracts with a few funeral homes to be their designer. I get requests for floral arrangements, weekly. I have a floral subscription that people can sign up for. So that's I'm kind of basking in that lane of things right now, just until the events start to pick back up. So that's just what I'm focusing on, just trying to save as much as I can and get ready for this transition, because I'm hoping to be in Georgia by this time next year.
Okay, so you got a while, for the planning before you head out to Atlanta, so you can still kind of bless Minneapolis with the Party Girls presence.
Yes.
Hopefully COVID's over soon, and we can begin to, we can celebrate an event.
Yes.
This is all over.
It's over, yes.
Yes, I think that'd be super grand. I want to know about, one of your hardest moments, though. Like, where like, where in your life did you think, um, either like I'm not gonna make it, or this just isn't for me?
As far as the business,
Yeah.
I'd say I was about maybe my second year in, and honestly, I don't. The business really didn't become profitable for me until maybe like my third and a half year in. So those first 3 years, even though I was booked about every weekend, I really didn't know how to be in business. I really didn't know what it was to pay myself and things like that. So the money was coming in, but it was like my managing it was totally off. And then there were times where I would go months without, any parties or anything, booked up. So if this is what I'm doing full time now, I don't have that, 2 week paycheck coming in to get me from this week to the next. So it got really tough. It got to the point where I was like, I have $17 in my account. My kids are hungry. I need gas. What are we going to do? So there was definitely those moments where I'm like, I quit. Like, I can't do this anymore. I'm just going to go back to work. But I had everybody in my corner just telling me just to tough it out, just stick with it. And I'm not one to ask for help. That's my biggest thing. Like, I could be on my last dime and no one would ever know because I'm not going to ask a soul to do anything for me. So I had to really kind of like humble myself. In those moments, I had to just kind of accept the help that was being offered to me. But even though my pride was like, oh, I can't do this. So there was really those times where managing the money, I had to learn how to do that. I had to learn how to really turn up the hustle for when the times were slow. Like before, I would just sit back and I thought the clientele would just come to me versus me putting out content or me going to stuff mailboxes and me doing things to actually bring the clientele into me. Once I channeled, I need to do something. I can't just sit here. They're not always just going to come to me. That kind of was the turnaround in the profit and the bookings and the things like that. So it was tough. It was tough for about the first 2 years for sure, but I just stuck it out. So, and that's always my word of advice for any entrepreneur or anybody wanting to go into business. Like, you have to know that this isn't easy if this is what you really want to do, and if you go into it full time like that. Like, there's going to be some periods where there's nothing, and then there's going to be some periods where you just can't believe all the money that you have coming in, but you have to know how to balance the both and transition when there's, both going on. At the time before I really had like any major business expenses, like I didn't have my venue and I didn't have a lot of other things you would have thought, because I was booked every weekend, that I was, just raking in the dough. But a lot of that came from being uneducated, and a lot of that is where those mentors, they were the biggest blessing to me, because if I'm doing a 50 guest party and I'm only charging $350, and then as I'm buying materials and things like that, I'm actually spending $550, but I can't go back and tell the client that because I've already taken their $350. We've already contracted for this. So it was like there were a lot of errors that I was making by being uneducated in what it took to actually produce these events. So a lot of the time I was eating my profit because I kind of set the ball so low. So and that kind of went on for about 2 years until somebody really told me, like, no, you have to do this different. Are you in business or are you in hobby? And when she said that, I was like, yeah. She's like, because you're booked, you're busy, but you feel like you're broke. I said, no, I am broke. I'm booked, I'm busy, and I'm broke. Like, how does that go? And that's when she sat me down. She kind of educated me on like how I was supposed to itemize things and kind of what a base would, or what the base was for event industry, professionals anyway, because it's kind of standard across the board. So I kind of, like I said, I just had to learn how to be in business. I jumped into being a business owner without really, knowing how to operate and run a business successfully. I didn't know how to price for profit. I didn't know how to pay taxes. I didn't know how to do any of that. I thought I could just get that LLC, get that EIN number, get a logo, and I was on, but it ended up costing me, and I didn't realize how much it was costing me until about 3 years later.
Would you recommend, like, because I know, like, a lot of people say that you have to get a mentor, right? Or would you recommend taking some courses?
I would actually recommend a little bit of both. It's really depending on how you feel like your learning style is. Like for me, I know the courses and the reading and the works and all that, that probably wouldn't be as successful for me. I'm more of I have to see it, try it, hands-on learner. So I like in person and one-on-ones and things like that. But I definitely recommend some sort of either business management course for sure. But as far as like courses tailored to what it is that you're actually doing, unless it's required, for me, hands-on experience is everything. So, but I definitely would recommend talking to an accountant, talking to a banker, getting everything figured out, how you're going to pay yourself. Definitely reach out to somebody in your industry who you feel is successful and see if they have any, pointers or any tips for you. Some people are willing to give you the information, some aren't. And those who aren't, you just have to kind of just take that and just move on to the next one, because not everybody is willing to give someone a hand up. But those who are, those will be your biggest blessings.